Hey guys, it's Ben here on nice Saturday morning, October 5th. Here with my fifth reflection for sports sponsorship. So this week, the theme of my reflection, I'm going to be focusing on brand loyalty, like fan loyalty to a brand, because I just think this is a really interesting aspect of sponsoring, especially in the sport industry, because you don't really have this kind of brand or fan loyalty to the extent that you do in the sport industry than you do in any other industry. But before we get into it, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items here. So I know in lecture that you've been saying that you want us to critique your teaching style and give you constructive feedback, I guess, on what you could do better and what we thought you've done well. But due to kind of the structure of my reflections, I'm kind of planning on delegating a full reflection just to conclude basically everything we've learned in the class and then reflect on your teaching style and convey all that information to you at once. And same with the group project. I'm going to make a separate reflection just reflecting on all the steps of the group project because I've been writing down ideas of what to say for that one as we've been working on the group project. But I just thought that one or two comments a week on either of those two topics isn't really substantial. So I thought that making their own individual reflections at the end would be a lot more beneficial and a lot more valuable to you. So let's get into it. So as we learned in in lecture, there's three really main sponsorship strategies. The first one's as a relation. So we were kind of talking about this one beforehand. This is when you go into an alliance, you collaboratively work together with another party to allow mutual access to each other's resources or knowledge or that kind of stuff to be able to fill each other's capability gaps. So we've already kind of dived into this one a little bit, but just a little bit of review here. And then as an animation, so you got to align your brand with your sponsored object or your sponsored event or whatever. You got to maintain that through communication and engagement with the consumers. So that's another strategy to go about sponsorship. And then this is the one we're really going to get into. This reflection is as an investment. So this is building your brand, increasing your brand awareness, strengthening your brand image, but most importantly, for the point of this reflection is maintaining and increasing your brand loyalty with your consumers. So, value of sports sponsorships. Sponsorship for us for a sponsor on a sport property, it's considered an important means for sustained competitive advantage. Because you being connected to a sport property could put you above the competition by connecting to that fan loyalty and that brand association that the team already has with their fans. And then you could bring that over into all the other aspects of that new organization that you're partnering with. You could hopefully transfer some of that fan loyalty to you. So sports sponsorship is potentially valuable because it has returns in brand equity, brand image, and focus of this reflection, once again, brand loyalty. That's really what we're going to be focusing in on this one. Just trying to hammer that point across, I guess. So in the context of me, I thought I'd look at the teams that I'm really captivated when I watch and some of the brands that sponsor them and then see how I feel about those brands and how I can associate with them. So in this case study, I used the Boston Celtics. They're probably definitely my favorite sports team across any major league. Um, I know that's not really a popular thing to say around here, but when my family first came to Canada from England, they stopped in Boston, and I had a generation or two of my family that lived there before they went up to Saskatchewan. So I have really deep deep ties, deep roots to Boston. My uncles and all my family members back home love the Bruins, love the Patriots, all that kind of stuff. But I really love the Celtics. So I'm extremely captivated whenever I watch them. I usually average probably about 75 of their 82 games a year watching live on TV. Uh, so I notice a lot around their sponsorship. So first and foremost, just their jersey sponsor here. So when they first got this jersey patch, I honestly didn't even know what General Electric's was. I had no idea what that logo was. Like I literally had to ask my mom, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. But now that I know that they're a big production company, yeah, like mostly in stuff like washing machines or fridges or ovens or dryers, that kind of stuff. Um, they have all those kind of appliances, and I never even really noticed that before because I've never really gone shopping. But for example, when we moved into our new house this year, and we already had a fridge and a microwave and all that kind of stuff, I noticed that they had this General Electric's branding all over it, and it kind of stood out to me. So honestly, like if I was filling my house in the future, I would probably be looking at some General Electric's utilities that I could use if I was ever in that situation. That'd be one of the first places I'd go. So that's just one that's a little bit of a impact in a bit, but it hasn't really affected me. But then another one here. Actually, I'll explain these pictures really quick. So this big picture on the left, number 0, that's Jason Tatum. He's in his third year. He's probably one of my favorite players. And then bottom right here, that's Kemba Walker, number 8. He just came over from Charlotte, and he's one of the best PGs in the league. So pretty pumped up about that. And then the top right here, that's TD Garden. That's where they play out in Boston. And as you could probably tell, TD Bank is there, has the naming rights to the facility. So when I was first coming out to university, I needed a credit card because just need it for daily expenses, shopping online, that kind of stuff. Just useful to have one. So when I was doing my research and I was gathering information about, the consumer buying decision process, I was gathering the information about what credit cards would work best for me as a student, that kind of stuff. And I was trying to think of different brands that I could go with. And immediately, two popped in my head actually. The first one being TD, and the second one being Tangerine, which is the jersey sponsor of the Toronto Raptors. Or they were. I'm not quite sure if they are anymore. As you can tell, I'm not as captivated when I watch the Raptors because I don't associate myself with them as much as I do with the Celtics, regardless of how much I've been talking about the Raptors the last couple podcasts here, or last couple reflections. But yeah, I definitely associate more with the Celtics. So I looked into TD credit cards and I found that they had a nice student deal. So I don't I don't have my wallet on me, but I'd show you my TD credit card that I have now with them with the green cherry. They just have branding. I feel comfortable with them um, because my favorite team plays in a building that has their name on it 41 times a year at least. So I just felt really comfortable going with that brand. And since I had that loyalty with the Celtics, I thought I might as well branch out, be loyal to General Electrics, be loyal to TD. One last example I have with this one is JetBlue. So that's their official airline sponsor for when they fly around, but then they also sponsor their plays of the week. So during halftime, they always bring the JetBlue plays of the week, only on Boston Celtics streams, because I stream all my stuff online. I'm going to talk about that in a future episode, hopefully, if it could fit in nicely. But anyway, so I noticed JetBlue branding all over the place, and last year I was in charge of booking my own flights back home to Saskatchewan for Christmas break, and I didn't really know what airline to use. Like my parents always use Air Canada, but I thought I might be able to find a cheaper one. So JetBlue immediately popped in my mind, and I looked online. Unfortunately, they had no flights to Saskatoon, but it's just another example of how my loyalty with the Boston Celtics led to me feeling comfortable and associating myself with their sponsorship partners as well. So this is the model for the theory of participation. So this is essentially saying that the more connected you are with a team or a product or an object or an event or whatever, the higher of a level of allegiance you'll have with them, higher level of attachment, and overall the a higher level of brand loyalty. So in the in the context of the Celtics, I'm definitely highly identified with them. Like I have a high team identification, and I perceive myself to be almost a part of the team. Like I feel connected with them, and whenever the team wins, I feel like I'm winning. But whenever the team's losing, it's tough times for me. So I definitely feel like the team has an effect on my self-esteem, and the brands such as TD, General Electrics, and JetBlue, I see that they're helping the Celtics in achieving their organizational goals. So I definitely um, feel comfortable with those brands because they're helping something that I feel like I'm a part of. So moving on, getting a little back into the Raptors here because I don't want to say that I don't associate with them at all. So I was in the grocery store the other day. This picture on the right is a picture I took with my phone. It's of a loaf of bread, if you can't tell, with this certain brand, which I don't really want to try to pronounce, but um, Di Italiano, I'm pretty sure is how you would say that. Um, but anyway, so I was shopping for groceries, needed some bread, and I saw that they had this one with the Raptors logo on it, and how you could win season tickets, and how it's the official bread of the Raptors. So I thought, hey, might as well like same price as these other loaves of bread. I've never tried this brand of bread, but they associate themselves with the Raptors. I could even possibly win some season tickets, so why wouldn't I buy that? It was kind of a no-brainer for me. So it's another example with a different team about how that loyalty and association I have with them can transfer over. And then this is just a point that I kind of wanted to close off with here. This is a picture I took while driving the other. Okay, that sounds kind of bad, but yeah, picture while driving the other day of this Niagara Ice Dogs license plate that I saw in front of me, and I thought it was pretty interesting how obviously this is a fan of the Niagara Ice Dogs because they give those license plates covers out to all their um, season ticket holders. Because I worked a season ticket holder event last year, I think, and we were giving those out. But it's interesting how they're fans of that team and they're so loyal to them that they want to promote them and give them free advertising everywhere they drive. And they're totally okay with that, and they're not getting paid anything for that just because they're so loyal to the brand. It's just free advertising. Like even my water bottle here, I put some of those wristbands on it. Toronto Raptors wristbands that I got from a game I went to last year, just because I thought it kind of looks cool. And like I associate with the Raptors, I'm still loyal to them, that kind of stuff. And I'm literally giving them free advertising everywhere I go with my water bottle. And that's not even going into clothing, into jerseys, into all that kind of stuff. Like it's insane the kind of return you could get just for having a loyal fan base. So I thought that'd be a pretty cool thinking point to leave off on. So so that's all I got for you for this week. That's the end of the reflection, and I'll see you next week.